Great to see you all. Today, Looney is not playing the piano. He was playing the tuba earlier. Oh man, that's a hard thing. That's a tough roommate. Anyway, we'll conclude this week's discussion on prayer, although we could discuss prayer every single week for the rest of our lives and benefit from it. Uh, a great spiritual author says prayer is it's the primary activity that it's the most powerful activity that we engage in. Meditation is the most powerful inactivity that we engage in, but prayer is the most powerful active thing. It's the thing that can shape reality with the greatest and most certain power, but we have to learn how to use it. Now, I'm going to start today's little 5 or 6 minute chat by saying, I bet you're really good at something. I bet there's something that you picked up when you were a child. Somebody put a musical instrument or a tennis racket or a paintbrush or something in your hands, and you picked it right up. You were exceptionally good at it. It just seemed to flow into your being, and you learned it before it was a struggle. In the same way that we are all granted at least one language. We get one language factory installed, but some kids, they grow up, I don't know, in Europe and they might be around grandparents in nearby countries. They might pick up two, three, four, five, six languages early on, and it's not a problem. On the other hand, if you try to learn a language after about the age of 20 or pick up any complex skill, like take up golf or a musical instrument, it's a son of a gun. There is no doubt about it. And it might be the same with prayer. Prayer being the most powerful activity that we can engage in. If we didn't learn it early on and we haven't learned it yet, then we may not be very good at it. And the most powerful skill that we could have at our disposal remains dormant and unused. Now, this is not to say that however it is that we're praying is not good and effective and sincere and meaningful. It's just to say that we're only scratching the surface of what prayer really is. And earlier in the week, we defined prayer as the ability to aim and to shape our consciousness in order to fulfill our experience. In other words, prayer is our capacity to consciously and deliberately select what we love the most and aim ourselves in that direction and then incorporate that into our life. Now, we might be praying today, but some people pray in a very resigned way. It's like, well, I know God, this situation's really bad, but it's probably your will, so I'll just resign myself to it. So prayer can be used in almost the most ineffective way. But if we're going to get good at prayer, we're going to have to go through the phase. And I'm going to use music as an example for me because, a little over a year ago, I picked up 4 different instruments and started to play them. And it's just been a challenge, and it's been clunky and chunky, and it just often seems hopeless. In other words, I have a dream, and the dream is to pick up or get involved with these 4 instruments and suddenly have this ability to flow and to join with other friends and to have other people see it and be admired and have this glorious, gushing, delightful experience of having music flow through me as if I'm an instrument of God, but it's mostly not like that. But I know that it will be, and like any other skill, if we're diligent with it, after a while, there's a phase that comes where you get over the clunky, chunky stage, and there's a sense of, wow, it's really opening up, it's blossoming. If you were to take up a new language, any new language, and there'd be that really difficult period, but then I don't know, in a year or two, there'd be like you could engage in conversation and you would feel facile and able to communicate. Well, it's the very same thing with prayer. If we're really going to use prayer to its best advantage and use it for more than just being resigned to the way things are, we're going to have to activate it, and we're going to have to go inside of ourselves and use those 3 great faculties: what we say, what we feel, and what we see in our mind's eye. Turn away from the appearances of things, especially the things that are negative, and shape reality from the inside out. Because this is our God-given gift. It says in one of the scriptures that we're made in the image of God. Does that mean we all look like 75-year-old men with big white beards? That doesn't seem to be true. How can we be made in the image of God? Well, that simply means we're conscious entities given this power to speak the word and shape the reality that we see outside of ourselves. But given that we weren't taught that as a child, we might have gone to church and had well-meaning religious training, but they probably didn't get down to the fundamental metaphysical skill of using your own God-given brilliance to shape heaven on earth for yourself and for everyone around us. And that's what we're here to do. So while our prayers may not seem to be as powerful as, in other words, we can't move mountains yet, but we will. You can trust that. But we have to work at the level that we're at. We look at wherever we feel resigned or restricted now, and we point our minds to what we do want rather than wrestling with what we don't want. And as we get better at that, we'll only continue to get better. And then will be the clarion call for other humans to do the change, to be part of that change. And then things on this planet will finally start to improve once we get good at the most powerful activity of all, which is prayer. So no cat piano today. We'll see you tomorrow and we'll visit. Next week, I'm blowing the lid off reality with the most dynamic topic I've ever discussed. So hang out for that. And please invite friends to this. It's powerful the more people join us. I'll see you.